This is Tank's Vlog, brought to you by Allow Me to Be Frank. It's my weekly podcast. This week, our special guest was Jerry Thornton from Barstool and the author of the book about the Patriots dynasty, 5 Rings. So give a listen on SoundCloud and iTunes. Mets completed the suspended game on Wednesday afternoon, and of course, they lost. You know, it's like Jacob deGrom just can't, it's amazing. It's just amazing how they just don't show up for Jacob deGrom games. Meanwhile, Jason Vargas is pitching better, and then the offense comes alive with a Todd Frazier grand slam in the first inning. I mean, Vargas got those 4 runs, and he ran with them. He ran with those 4 runs, and the Mets tacked on against the Cubs bullpen and left town without getting swept. They recorded a nice 10-3 win, with the Cubs actually tacking on a few runs late in the game. After the game was well decided, Todd Frazier had a nice day with 5 RBI. But why can't they give these runs to deGrom? Please, come on, help the guy out. Meanwhile, the Yankees, their offense has been slumbering as of late. They just lost 2 out of 3 to a bad Chicago White Sox team at home. I mean, I just don't understand how the Yankees just continue to play down to the level of their opponent. Meanwhile, the Red Sox, they just take care of business. They were struggling at one point. They actually were losing to Miami Marlins, and then came the 7th inning, and it was boom, boom. Such a romp was the Red Sox 11-run 7th inning that one man accounted for all 3 outs, as Andrew Benintendi had a sacrifice bunt and hit into a double play. That was it. That's how the Marlins got out of the inning. Andrew Benintendi. Otherwise, the Red Sox will probably still be hitting. Win the game 14-6. Take both games against the pathetic Marlins. Orioles, meanwhile, won a 3rd straight, beating up the Blue Jays again, as Adam Jones hit a grand slam. Meanwhile, the Twins beat the Indians 4-3. I mean, that race is already decided, but now they're within 13 games in 2nd place over there. What a bad division the Central's been this year. What a bad division. National League, where things are wild and crazy. Well, first off, we've got one score to tell you in the American League. Got one score. It was the Astros on a walk-off home run by Tyler White, beating the A's 5-4. So they took that series, which is very important. If the A's would have won that game, they could have gotten within a half game of first place. The Royals beat the Tigers 9-2. And the Mariners continue to sink, losing to the Padres 8-3. In the National League, where things are wild and crazy, it just continues to get tighter in all 3 division races and the National League wild card. First, the Braves lost to the Rays 8-5, and the Phillies, with a big hit from new acquisition for the Mets, Jose Bautista, beat the Nationals 8-6. So they're within 4.5 in that one. In the Central, we mentioned the Cubs and the Mets earlier. The Brewers, with a cycle from Christian Yelich and a home run by Jesse Aguilar in the 10th inning, beat the Reds in an absolute crazy game, 13-12. Cardinals, meanwhile, were cooled off by the Pirates 2-0. In the West, it was the Diamondbacks finally getting on the scoreboard and beating the Giants 3-1, while the Dodgers beat the Rangers 3-1. Rockies are off on Wednesday, and now that division is got 3 teams separated by 1 game. Meanwhile, the wild card race is even crazier. You got 5 teams within 2.5 games of the second wild card. September is going to be a month to remember in the National League. You're gonna have big games every night. This is going to be one of the craziest final months, as all these teams in a mad scramble for those 5 playoff spots. Bad news today for the Angels, who also were off today. Albert Pujols' season came to an end as he has to undergo knee surgery. He's got a lot of home runs. He's got that big contract. Still got a few years left on that big contract, too. And it seems like he's been breaking down every year now. I mean, great player, Hall of Famer, 632 home runs at last count. But how much more does he have left? That's a major question you have to ask if you're the Angels and Albert Pujols. Today, today's 3 stars are Christian Yelich, who was the 8th player in Milwaukee history to get a cycle. Zach Godley, who went 7 2/3, allowing just 2 hits with 1 earned run and 6 strikeouts against the Giants. And Ryan LaMare, who was a nightmare for the Yankees, with 4 RBI as the White Sox took 2 out of 3 in the Bronx. This is the first time the White Sox have won a series in Yankee Stadium since 1995. Today's birthday shout-out goes to Celtics legend Robert Parrish, who turns 65. And we take a look back to 1999, when the Mets went into the Astrodome. It was the beginning of their last series ever at the Astrodome, and beat the Houston 17-1, with Edgardo Alfonzo having the best offensive game in Mets history. He went 6 for 6 with 3 home runs and a double. Of note, Christian Yelich, who had his cycle today. Edgardo Alfonzo was the last person to go 6 for 6 with 4 extra base hits, and today, that's exactly what Christian Yelich did. So, it's almost like an interesting juxtaposition that they both had similar games. Although Alfonso's performance came in a blowout, Christian Yelich's game came in a crazy slugfest. Tonight I started something new, and it's going to be something I'm going to be doing regularly. It's going to be called Tank Live. I don't know where I'm going to host it. I hosted it today on YouTube. A lot of people say I shouldn't host on YouTube. They say I should host it elsewhere on Periscope, but I want it to be saved so people who didn't see it can watch it later, instead of being just the people who watched it. I like the interaction with fans, and that's what I like to do. I'm going to try to do these regularly, especially during games, and especially during football season. I'm going to be doing these often. I'm going to try to do them most nights, if not every night. Mets played a day game today, so I wasn't able to do it during the Mets game. But tomorrow, I'm going to see if I can try to do it at 9:30 again at the Yankee game against the Tigers, and I'll also see what college football games look interesting. As for preseason football, it's week 4 in preseason. Yeah, I'm not going to look at that. So keep an eye out on my Tank Live broadcast, and help me improve it, because I couldn't get the damn thing to go onto landscape. I was stuck on portrait. It didn't look as good as possible. I tried it on my damn laptop, and it looked like I was on friggin' the moon. The video quality was so poor. So, throw out some suggestions how I could do this and monetize this through YouTube. So I'm looking how you want me to do this, and what more can I do that you want to see. I'd love to take questions. I'd love maybe one day to do a phone-in in a situation, and one day host a show like this where I could talk to my people out there, my fans of the Tanks Army. So keep an eye on that. And once again, also listen to the podcast with Jerry Thornton, SoundCloud and iTunes. And have a good day.